Hey, folks, welcome to the second episode of the Two Micks. I'm Jimmy Mack. This is my buddy Mike. We're going to be talking some sports to you today. Wild weekend in football and everything. And first of all, I want to thank all the people that looked at our video. I think we had two. Mike, I know you liked on it, but I forgot to. We had another one.
We had maybe three.
We had another one like on it. And Mom, I love you. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. But no, hey, subscribe to our podcast and everything if you enjoyed it. What'd you do this weekend, Mike?
Well, I tell you what, Jimmy, I did a bucket lister. I went up to New York this weekend, and of course, I grew up playing tennis, big tennis fan, and got to go to the U.S. Open this weekend, and it was an experience. And I'm gonna tell you, there is nothing like New York City. Have you ever been to New York City, Jimmy?
No, you and me live in different worlds. You went to New York. I went to my backyard this weekend.
You did. But I will say this: if you've never been to New York City, even if you're not a city person, everybody's got to go at least once.
I agree with that.
It's something that it's a different place. There's nothing like New York City. I've been to a lot of different places, and there's nothing like New York City. And shout out to my good friends Steve and Robin, who hosted me up there, and I stayed at their apartment on 80th Street. Was one block over, Jimmy, for where they filmed Seinfeld. And
okay, now you got
yeah. I mean, it was very unique. So one of the things that I did when I got to go up there, I got to go to the U.S. Open. And if you're a tennis fan, even if you're not a big tennis fan, it's an experience to get to go there. And I got to go. I went there on Sunday, which was the round of 16. And I got to see the number one player in the world, the women's number one player in the world, Aryna Sabalenka. I have never seen a woman hit so hard in my life. That girl, I saw Serena and Venus play in their prime, and I have never seen a woman player that hits the ball as hard as Sabalenka. She's just a different world. But anyway, I got to see her, and I got to see Taylor Fritz, who is the number 4 player in the world, who actually lost to Novak Djokovic last night. I was hoping he could make it to the semifinals, but anyway, it was definitely an experience and something that I'll never forget. I plan to do it every year with my good friends Steve and Robin, and hopefully starting next year. This year will be the start of many memories there. But tonight, the women's semifinals are tonight, and Sabalenka plays Jessica Pegula, who is the daughter of Buffalo Bills owner. I remember his first name, something Pegula, but that's his daughter. And she's played in the lights out tournament this year and has just rolled through the tournament. But she's got to play Sabalenka, the number 1 player, tonight. And I'm hoping that she can get there. And then the other semifinal is Naomi Osaka and Amanda Azamova. And Azamova had a surprise run at Wimbledon, made it all the way to the finals, and lost to Swiatek, who won Wimbledon, and she lost 6-0, 6-0. I'd never seen a major final at 6-0, 6-0. She came back, beat her last round in straight sets, and got a little revenge. And her and Osaka both kind of left the tour with some emotional and some mental things that they had to deal with, and they've both made big comebacks. So it's exciting. And
back when I used to watch tennis a lot, that's when we had Jimmy Connors, we had Chrissy Everett, we had Boris Becker,
John McEnroe.
Don't forget
Mac.
The other Mick.
The other Mick. He's going to get on our show, the third Mick. He'll be the third Mick on our show.
Billie Jean King. I can pronounce all those names. Now I can't pronounce the tennis players' names anymore.
Well, I tell you, the one thing about that is that's because of the American players have been kind of, other than Serena and Venus.
Oh, I love Serena.
Yeah, Serena and Venus dominated the women's circuit. They were the 2 Americans that really, especially Serena, who's considered probably not only the greatest tennis player of all time, but as a lot of people rank her as the greatest athlete of all time.
Now, wasn't Serena playing in a doubles tournament?
Venus was. I saw Venus on the practice court up there.
Okay, well, that's cool.
And I saw her early in her career.
Yeah.
But it was definitely an experience. And then the guys played tomorrow. The 2 big ones are Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz. I didn't get to see them play, but next year I'm hoping to get to see them. And Djokovic upset, or they didn't upset, but he beat Taylor Fritz, who I got to see, the number 4 player in the world.
So did you get to see football this weekend? Because,
I did get to see some football.
Oh, okay.
I did get to see some football. We're going to talk some football, Jimmy. We're going to talk some football.
Well, this is
I know, just like golf was boring me last week, me talking a little tennis is boring
I love
you.
tennis.
But it was a bucket lister thing for me, and I had a great time.
I'm glad you did.
And I did watch college football up there.
Well, good.
And
Good.
I got to go to a place. I went to a sports bar called Blondie's, which is on the Upper West Side, and watched all the football games. Shout out to Hope, who I joined Blondie's page, and Hope was our bartender there. She went to Florida State, but she was from Maine.
Really?
So she was super excited that
Oh,
Florida
she had to
State
be
pulled
that
the
day.
upset on
Yeah.
Alabama. So she had no voice the next day. But she was the greatest bartender, and we had a great time there at Blondie's, and just a great time in New York. And I look forward to seeing both the men's and women's semifinals and finals over the next couple days. And I'm hoping for an Alcaraz Center final on Sunday, because those two guys have played in the last 2 majors and played epic matches. And they're by far the best 2 players in the world. Nothing taken away from Novak Djokovic, who's probably the greatest tennis player of all time.
I agree with that. I like Novak.
He's 38 now, and he's not quite as good as he can beat either of them on a given day. But
yeah,
I just would like to see a Center Alcaraz final, and But anyway.
So did you get to watch any pickleball while you was up there?
I didn't watch any pickleball.
Did you know this? Do you know Kevin Durant?
Durant
Durant is part owner of a pickleball team.
I didn't know that.
And Odell Beckham is too.
Well,
Odell Beckham, as a matter of fact, the reason I know that, Durant and Odell Beckham, part owners, but their teams, they traded teams. It's different than football. You have to buy teams. I mean,
right.
10%. There was a team this week that sold their 10% of their team, the Giants, to the Koch family for $1 billion. 10% of the team.
Well, I'm telling you, pickleball is a huge thing nowadays.
Kevin Durant owns the DC team now, and Odell Beckham owns the Brooklyn Aces pickleball team. I know you people are excited about that. I don't know what it means, but anyway.
Well, here in our hometown right now, Jimmy, they're building a 12-court pickleball facility here, and it's the craze right now. I know tons of people that love it. I've played it a few times. It's it originally started as kind of once your body broke down from playing tennis, you don't have to move as much in pickleball.
Andre Agassi played in a tournament this year. Just wanted to let you know, a doubles tournament. Hey, by the way, folks,
I'm going to get you out of the pickle.
Let's get out. I can play pickleball. Let's get out to football right now, or go talk football. There was some great games this weekend, everybody. And the one game I want to talk about is Townsend State and Norfolk State. Townsend State run the coaching debut of the Norfolk head coach. You know who the Norfolk head coach is?
Jimmy, I have no idea.
Michael Vick.
Really?
Yes. He is coaching North. And I tell you, he's got a lot of work. I watched part of the game. They looked bad.
I just hope their mascot's not a dog.
Oh, that's bad, Mike. All right, but let's get to some other games. I guess everybody watched the Texas-Ohio State game. And I'm telling you right now that those 2 teams, they have probably the best defenses that I've seen in a while. If you're a Texas fan, do not give up on your team, because Archie Manning, he sucked the first 3 quarters, but the 4th quarter, I thought he played pretty good. And I blame the coach for this, Mike. That game could have been, if they went down twice and they went for it on 4th and down 2 times. If he'd gone ahead, I'm old school. I'm not analytical. Like, what's his name? How you pronounce his name?
Which game?
Texas game.
Texas coach?
Yeah.
Sarkisian.
Yeah, that's it.
You and your coaches' names, man.
I know what
Coach Oregon and what did you just call Sarkisian?
I let you call him something. Anyway, they could have, if they kicked the field goal, it would have been 7-3. Then when they went down again, it would have been 7-6. Ohio State scored, it would have been 14-6, and then Manning threw a hell of a touchdown pass. and it would have been 14-13, and Texas had the ball towards the end of the game. There's a big difference between knowing you have to score to tie the game or knowing you have to kick a field goal to win the game. That game could have easily been 16-14 in favor of Texas. So those two teams, Ohio State right now jumped up to number one. And Mike, what do you think about?
Well, I tell you, my biggest thing with watching the Texas game, and I really thought that, speaking of Sarkisian or whoever's offensive coordinator is, we'd only seen Arch Manning a couple times last year, and obviously it was against lesser opponents. So my biggest thing was right away, the thing that I could tell right away is that Arch Manning is not as accurate as his famous uncles, as Eli and Peyton. He's not a natural passer, and he's got great legs, though. He can run. I mean, because Peyton and Eli, they were like statues back there. They were your traditional drop back quarterbacks.
Yeah.
But I really didn't think that they did a very good job of putting Arch Manning in a lot of RPO situations where he had the option to use his legs, and they used him more as almost more of a straight drop back passer. And I don't think they really played to the strengths. And I'm not trying to take anything away from Ohio State, because Ohio State played a great game defensively, and they'll force you into looking bad. But I do think that both of those teams are still going to be in the mix at the end of the year. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw a rematch between them in the championship game at the end of the year.
That's a good thing.
So,
but don't you think though, Archie and Peyton, when they played, they always played cupcakes at the beginning of the season, and now that they're playing tougher games. I mean, Texas and Ohio State would, if they were going to meet, it would have been mid-season sometimes.
Possibly, yeah.
So you throw basically, he's played two games, basically a rookie quarterback in the shoe against a great defense, which Ohio State has, and they're going to cause you to look bad. But the fourth quarter, I thought he played good.
I will say this, though. I saw Peyton Manning and I saw Eli Manning both in person when they were playing in college. I saw Peyton Manning in the pros, and they were both the two most accurate quarterbacks I've ever seen in person. I don't think Arch Manning is necessarily that type of accuracy. I think everybody just thought because his last name is Manning that he was automatically going to be a Peyton or an Eli. And I'm not saying he still could be. It was one game, and it was against a tough defense and in a tough environment. So I think it remains to be seen. And I think I've seen a lot of people talk about lay off of him a little bit. I mean, he went into a tough environment. And I think everybody just, and I was one of the ones. I said last week on our show, I was like, I expect Arch Manning to go out there and put on a show, and he really didn't put on the show that I thought he was going to.
Right,
but still a lot of college football season left.
Let's get to the biggest egg this weekend: Alabama and Florida State. Alabama, either Florida State is that good or Alabama's that bad. Alabama played soft. I look for this coach to get them back on track, but their defense was way too soft. What do you think, Mike?
Well, I think you hit it on the head. The trademark of Alabama teams under Saban was physical football and defense, and these teams just do not play. They don't play solid, hard-nosed defense. They don't establish the running game like Saban did, and until they figure out how to get back to the roots of Alabama football and playing, people feared Alabama's defenses. And they weren't the same last year. And, granted, DeBauer has come from a West Coast school. I've seen this happen a lot. A lot of West Coast coaches come in there thinking they're going to come in and, do the same kind of things they did on the West Coast and play this, finesse ball and throw it around the field. You can't win in SEC football without a solid running game and a solid defense. And I think that's where Alabama's really lacking right now.
Yeah, but congratulations to Florida State.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, after the year they had where they only won 2 games, congratulations. And maybe they're for real. They jumped up in the top 25. Alabama dropped 13 spots to number 21. I've never seen an Alabama team that low that I remember. Now it may have. And then we had another great game between 2 giants, LSU at Clemson, and folks, that was a great game, and LSU came out the victor, of course. And I don't know if I could say anything bad about either team. I thought that it was a good defensive, and
game could have gone either way.
it could have gone either way.
Could have gone either way.
We also had Monday night. We had Belichick's debut, and I don't really know what
I don't know if you could call it a debut
well,
or like a massacre.
Well,
or
let's put it this way: Belichick's coaching debut at North Carolina, but I have no words for what I saw there. They scored the first drive and led 7-0. And then from 8-12 to 10-20, they didn't even make a pass, guys, that I'm aware of. I know they didn't score. They didn't score till late in the game. But Belichick's got some work to do. But in his defense,
it's his first year.
And you shouldn't have to defend Belichick. I mean, everybody says he's the greatest of all time. But he did bring in 70 new players. And I don't care who you are. The 70 new players is a lot of players to incorporate into the starting five and get them to mesh. Anyway, we'll go on from
I think it remains to be seen.
And TCU was favored to win.
I didn't know that. I would have thought playing at North Carolina would have been favored.
TCU was favored.
TCU is always a solid team too. I mean, I know they weren't ranked, and they changed coaches a couple years ago, but TCU is always solid, and you can't. I don't know. You can't judge it. I always like to say you can't panic, and you can't really just throw everything out the window on the first game. I mean,
no,
there's a lot of season to be played.
You can't. I mean, these teams, Alabama can pop back and everything.
Well, they'll have a lot of opportunities.
And then we also had Louisville beat the heck out of Eastern Kentucky, 51-14.
Who cares?
Well, a lot of Louisville fans do.
Well, when they play somebody real, then we'll talk about them. They played EKU, and I think they played some other patsy this week.
Yeah, but they played James. We'll talk about that
James
later.
Madison?
Yes.
You're going to call James Madison a powerhouse?
Do you know that 13 of the players on Indiana's team last year that had a really good season came from James Madison? Did you know that, Mike?
They'll beat James Madison.
You didn't know that. They could, but I don't know. And then we had the UK versus Toledo.
What? Well, we also had Notre Dame and Miami.
Well, yeah.
Weren't we saving the best for last?
Well, when I go to UK versus Toledo, you don't pay attention that I skipped what you had down for me. You just go to UK versus Toledo. So, Mike, we're going to talk about Kentucky playing Toledo. What do you think about that one?
Well, I think it's hard to tell. I do think Toledo's a solid team. Obviously, you're not going to go through SEC play only passing for 168 yards, or I think 169 yards.
Yeah.
Zach Calzada, I think he showed a few glimpses, but Stoops said that at the beginning of the year that they were going to get back to his roots, and that's running the football, being a physical team.
Dell did run for 100.
And if you think about some of Stoops' best teams, they were run oriented. They didn't have a great quarterback. They relied on the running game. They played physical defense, and I think that's what Stoops is wanting to get back to.
Yeah,
but you still got to be able to pass more than 169 yards against Toledo. Yeah. And it's the first game, so it remains to be seen. I mean, obviously,
looks like to me it's the same old. I hope it's not, but it looks like to me.
You said they were going to get to 6 wins. Are you still thinking they're going to get to 6
wins?
Well,
you know what? I am a Kentucky.
You picked them to beat Ole Miss last week.
Well, that was last week. This week.
You can't change now.
I can change.
One game.
All right, let's get on to Notre Dame and Miami, guys. That was a good game. Miami had that in hand. Miami's for real. Their quarterback came from Boston College. No, he came from Georgia. Becker.
Miami Beck.
Beck.
Carson Beck
came from Georgia. But
it looked like Miami was going to blow them out.
Notre Dame came back and tied it up, and then they Miami kicked the field goal with 1:04 left and won the game. And but that was a good game. I think both of those teams are probably. Well, I think Miami moved up to number 5, I believe.
Well,
I'm pretty sure they did.
Yeah, they did. Well, Ohio State moved up to number 1. Penn State stayed at 2, which I guess if you're Penn State, you're kind of like.
Penn State doesn't play anybody.
They haven't played anybody yet.
I think they play Villanova and somebody else.
LSU was the big jumper. They moved all the way up to number 3, and they were at LSU, 9 or 10.
Yeah.
They were the biggest jumper of all.
Georgia stayed the same, number 4. Then Miami, number 5, which I think they looked good. And then Oregon.
Texas dropped down to 7.
Texas
and then
dropped from
Clemson
1.
dropped to 8. Notre Dame only dropped a couple spots, which probably is
And then
playing a tough game on the road against Miami. They shouldn't drop a whole
and
lot.
South Carolina
Moved into 10.
10 with Lenore Sellers. Their quarterback is fantastic. And guys, South Carolina is for real. They're for real. They're a good team. Alabama dropped 13 spots. I think they're 21 now.
They'll have opportunity to work.
Oh yeah, everybody has.
I just don't have a lot of confidence in their defense, and until they start playing solid defense, they're going to have a hard time. I don't see DeBauer lasting after this year. I mean, I don't.
Oh, wait a minute. That you just said they had enough time. He's got enough time to pull it back, but he's got to get some discipline on his team.
He's got to get some defense on his team. I've seen him for 2 years. And here's the thing. I mean, Alabama football is like Kentucky basketball. They have a short leash for coaches. And the thing is that they always say, don't follow a legend. Well, he followed the legend, Nick Saban. And he's living up to – and I'm not saying he deserves to be fired. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying I know what Alabama fans expect. And they expect 10, 11 win seasons every year and contending for national championships. They don't expect citrus bowls and peach bowls.
I wonder if Alabama fans are sort of feeling the way we felt when Gillespie was coaching the basketball team.
That was a low of lows. I don't know.
Well, anyway, hey, looking ahead to this week, we don't have the marquee games that we had last week, but we do have some good games coming on this week. You got an in-state rival, Iowa and Iowa State. I'm going to take Iowa State on that one, Mike.
I am too. I was impressed with Iowa State that first week, and Beck, that quarterback.
This will be in one of them passing games against a ball control running game. Iowa
State's quarterback impressed me that first game, and he's considered one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And I think Iowa State's a team that could end up in the playoff.
They could,
out of the Big 12. Now, if they were playing in the SEC or the Big 10, no. But the fact that they're in the Big 12. I really think that they could definitely have a possibility of making the playoff.
Then another game you might want to watch, Oklahoma State at Oregon. And the shots have already been fired in this game, folks. Gundy
said, I'm a man. That's what he said. Remember when he said that?
Yeah, but
I'm a man.
But okay, calm down. Anyway, Gundy sat there and said, he said Oregon spends $40 million on their football team, which they probably do because they got Nike in their backyard. And he says, Oklahoma State spends about $7 million. Well, Lanny, the coach for Oregon, he came back and said, yeah, but we spend to win. And I thought, that's probably true. I mean, you wouldn't spend to lose, would you? So they spend to win. And
that's the nature of today's college game.
Yeah. And then Lanny said, they played UT Martin last week, Oklahoma State. And Lanny said, I bet UT Martin's nil money or whatever they call it wasn't $7 million for their football team last year. So there's been a few shots fired, but I'm taking Oregon in this one.
Well, especially playing at Oregon.
And
even though last week I was 0-4 on all 4 big games, and you were 1-3 on all 4 big games.
Well, yeah, I lost.
You're not counting Louisville. You can't count Louisville.
No, but what the predictions I made, I was 5-3, but I lost Alabama, I lost Texas, and I lost Notre Dame.
We're talking the 4 biggie ones.
Well, I don't care.
You picked LSU. I'll give you credit on that one.
But I predicted.
We're only talking the big games, the 4 big ones.
You can't say that. You got to make me look better than what you're trying to.
You were better than me. You were 1-3. I was 0-4.
He's jealous because he went 0-4 in what he calls big games.
He went 1-3.
But I predicted even the little games.
And usually, here's the funny thing is, I'll pick the SEC team, but I picked Clemson. That's the last time I'll pick them.
No, you won't. You'll pick them again.
I don't know.
And then another game we have is Arizona State University versus Mississippi State. Arizona State is in the top 25. They're favored over Mississippi State. I'm going to go with Mississippi State. It's at Mississippi State. I think Mississippi State has a better team this year. And it'll be the passing game versus the running game. And, of course, you got to get used to them cowbells. Mike, do you know how cowbells started?
At Mississippi State or just cowbells
at Mississippi State?
I don't know.
1930. Mississippi State and Ole Miss were playing at Mississippi State, and a Jersey cow wandered on the field. and Mississippi State won that game. Then they thought it was a good luck charm, so they brought out those cowbells, which those are the most annoying. I don't even know if you
Have
call
you
them
been to a game at
instruments.
Mississippi State?
Annoying.
I haven't been there.
They got so annoying that 1974 the SEC outlawed noisemakers because of that in all games. But
So why are they still able to ring
hang on,
cowbells?
the fans campaigned over the last few years, decades, I guess, few decades, got them. The SEC said, okay, we'll allow noisemakers. In the 2000s is when they finally did. I think the date may be 2010. It doesn't matter. They could have kept that away for 2050 as far as I'm concerned. But they have rules now, Mike, on the cowbells. The cowbells have rules.
What do you mean the cowbells have rules?
They have rules. The
How
fans.
can you give a cowbell a rule?
Well, the fans that are ringing those dang annoying things, they cannot play them pregame. They cannot. No, they can do it.
How's the sound go again?
Not like that. They can't. That sounds better. They can't do it pregame. They can only do it halftime. They cannot. Other words, they cannot play them while the game's going on, but they can ring them when Mississippi State scores a touchdown. They can ring them. I don't know how they enforce it. Is
I
that
don't
what you
know.
were at?
I've watched many UK football games at Mississippi State, and they're ringing them things the whole game.
You think they are? They ring them when they score, which playing Kentucky, that might be quite a bit sometimes. But pregame, halftime,
that whole stadium,
timeout. They can
those
do it. They can do
bells,
it during timeouts
and then
also.
what are they going to do? Arrest everybody?
No, they'll probably put a penalty on the Mississippi State team. But that is the rule. But the SEC let all noisemakers back into games. But that's how the cowbell come about. And I'm not like Christopher Walken. I don't want more cowboy bells. I want less cowbells. And then we have Kansas at Mizzou, which, by the way,
rivalry game.
Yeah, close. They're both close there. It is an SEC school, but that's where game day is going to be. And I disagree with that. I don't know who made that decision on the SEC network, but not game day ESPN. SEC network is going to be there. I disagree with it. The SEC game day should have been at the Kentucky Ole Miss game. But anyway,
considering it's the only SEC, the first SEC game of the year, and the only SEC versus SEC game.
We're talking about Kentucky and Ole Miss.
Kentucky and Ole Miss, yeah.
But anyway, I think
KU and Missouri are rivalry. I mean, they're hated. They hate each other. You realize that?
Yeah, but I think Missouri will win that game.
I think they will too, especially playing at Missouri.
And we got Michigan at Oklahoma. What do you think?
Probably
about
the marquee game of the week. I think Oklahoma wins that easy. I'll be honest with you.
I don't know if they'll win it easy, but I think they'll win. It's going to be the run game against the passing game. And of course, Michigan has a rookie quarterback, a freshman, true freshman, Underwood. He's not bad. He's not bad at all. But their running game, and of course, defense. Oklahoma's improved their defense this year. Michigan always has good defense, but it's going to be played at Oklahoma, so I'm going with Oklahoma on that one.
I think Oklahoma's going to win that pretty easy.
All right, then we come down to the Ole Miss at UK.
The most important game. I'll be there, Jimmy, cheering on the Cats.
Well, why not? You went to New York. It's not that far to go to Lexington this weekend. You ought to go.
I'm excited for the first. Well, last week was the first game. I missed it, but
I'll be in the backyard.
I know you will.
But anyway, again, we've got basically. I tell you what, Ole Miss looked good. I picked them. I said they would be one of Kentucky's wins, but I'm not going to change. I'm going to go with Kentucky, even though they've got a great running back in Lacey.
Realist, huh?
Yeah, Lacey. I'm going with Kentucky. I'm going with Kentucky. It's played at Kentucky, and everybody loves beating Lane Kiffin, so I'm going to go with Kentucky on this one.
I hope you're right, Jimmy, but I don't see us beating Ole Miss Saturday. If we do, we're going to have to step it up quite a bit. But
our quarterback's
playing at home, I think you got a chance. And I don't know. I mean, I just don't see us beating Ole Miss. I think that Lane Kiffin is going to have his team ready, especially after the way we beat them last year. And really, you think about last year's game, that kept them out of the playoff. That one game was.
Lane Kiffin's going to be mad. He's going to want revenge. But Stoops loves beating him. Although that. Well, but anyway, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going with my heart, folks, on this one. Please don't go into your book wherever you bet at. Don't go and make a bet on that.
Jimmy.
I think there's a possibility. Stoops' second games are always a lot better than his first.
Always a possibility.
Which that's probably true with every team.
Well, you think about it. Last year, we went in and we upset them, and we thought we were on top of the world. We didn't win another SEC game the rest of the year.
Yeah.
So, who knows?
And I'm going to bring up is Louisville plays James Madison. Louisville's going to win. It's at Louisville.
Another toughie.
Well, it could be. James Madison's actually ranked ahead of Kentucky.
Well,
a lot ahead of Kentucky. They're in the top 30.
Alabama was ranked a lot ahead of Florida State too.
Well, that's true too. So see, it could be an upset.
Well, I don't really see that happening, and I see Louisville. I'm not trying to knock Louisville, but really, I don't really see the sense in talking about Louisville until they actually play somebody. And James Madison's just not a team that, and EKU are not two teams that are really worth talking about, in my opinion. In my humble opinion, Jimmy, I'm just saying.
And also Western Kentucky plays Toledo this week.
They do. I am interested to see that game
at Toledo.
Yeah, at Toledo. Yeah, I'm actually interested to see how that game shakes out.
Toledo is favored.
Toledo's good. I'm telling you, Toledo is not a bad team, and I'm not saying that just because Kentucky beat them last week. But Toledo is a solid team, and I think that they'll end up with a winning record, and I think they'll contend for the MAC championship, and I think that they'll end up in a bowl game this year. I really do.
Well, we got some NFL games coming up.
Well, moving on from college to pros. Pros starting up this week. Cowboys and Eagles kicking it off tonight. But I think we wanted to kind of just look at it first and just kind of go through each division and kind of just see what who we think is going to win each division. And Jimmy, the big thing is you're going to have to make your Super Bowl pick tonight.
Well, thanks for putting me on the spot.
I am going to put you on the spot.
Well, in the NFC, we got if we're going to do this, NFC East, you got the Eagles, Cowboys, Commanders, Giants. Last year, the Eagles won. Now, the thing about this division, nobody wins it twice in a row.
Well, the Commanders were the surprise team last year.
Yeah, but
with Jaden Daniels,
the Eagles won it last year.
They did.
Yeah, but nobody has won it twice in a row. It's amazing.
Ever in the history of, I can't imagine.
I think you're going back to the 70s since it happened.
Well, that might be true. You tell me that the Cowboys, the Cowboys 90s. In the early to mid 90s.
It's been 30 years. I'll have to look it up, but
it had to be the Cowboys. The Cowboys in the early to mid 90s when they had their dominant
when they had their 90s, the Eagles had some good teams too.
Yeah, but they did. The Cowboys, anyway, I guarantee that's probably, you said 30 years ago, so it was about 30 years ago that the Cowboys had their run where they won.
This is going out on a limb, a very shaky limb. But I'm going to pick the Cowboys to win the NFC East.
I'll stick with the Eagles.
You're going to go?
Yeah, I'll stick with the Eagles.
I hate to say you're smarter than me, but maybe on that pick you are. All right, in the North, you got the Bears, Packers, Vikings, and Lions. Mike, who are you going for?
Well, last year the Vikings were a surprise team in this division.
They got a rookie quarterback.
It's a tough division, man. But last year, Michigan's quarterback, what's his name?
Golf.
No,
you talking about the Lions?
No, I'm talking about the Vikings. What's his name?
Aren't we supposed to be experts? Shouldn't we know this?
We should, but it's a lot of names to remember. But anyway, he heard it. He was supposed to be the starter, and then Darnold came in and then took over. Had a great season last year, and the Vikings and came right down to the very end with them and the Lions on who was going to be the 1 seed.
Okay, who you think's going to win?
I tell you my surprise pick here. And I'm going with the Packers with winning this division this year.
I don't think you could go wrong.
But they added Micah Parsons, which that was the big news last week.
Yep.
And I really like this team. I like Jordan Love, and they're young. And a lot of people will probably pick the Lions because of what they've done. And listen, I love the fact that the Lions have done great the last couple of years because that team has never won anything.
No, the reason I am picking the Lions to win this, and I'll tell you why, because their defense is healthy. They had so many defensive players hurt last
by the end of the year, yeah.
And
I think if they wouldn't have had the injuries they did, they probably would have made the Super Bowl.
They're healthy right now, and I'm going with the Lions. I think Campbell's got a lot. He's probably mad as hell about what happened last year. And I think they're going to win. All right.
I'm right there head to head with the Packers and the Lions.
Well, you already picked the Packers.
No, I picked the Packers, but
all right, then we don't need to talk about it
I think
anymore.
it's a close race between them and the Lions.
All right. The South, NFC South. You got the Bucks, Falcons, Panthers, and Saints.
Who am I going with?
Who are you going with?
I'm going to pick the Falcons.
I think that's probably a good pick, but I'm going with the Bucks.
Yeah.
All right, the NFC West, 49ers, Cardinals, Rams, and Seahawks. And you brought up Sam Darnold. He is playing for the Seahawks now.
Yeah. This is a tough division to pick because I think all the teams just kind of mashed together. A couple years ago, the 49ers would have been the big favorite in here. But they've had some changes, and
So
I'm gonna pick I'm gonna pick the 49ers in this one this year.
I'll be dang. We agree on one team.
I think the 49ers.
Stafford's. I don't know about Stafford's health, but
he's had a little bit of health problems in the.
he's
getting older.
I do like the Rams, but he's had back troubles. But now we'll find out because he does.
And
he
I
is
can
going to play this week.
Suck.
Yeah, he is going to play this weekend, but I'm going to go with the 49ers also because they're healthy. McCarthy's back. Brock Purdy's going to be strong. All right, let's go to the AFC. This is the Bills, Patriots, Dolphins, Jets.
I'm going with the Bills there. I think the Bills run away with this division.
I like the Bills. I also like the Dolphins, but I'm going with the Bills also, Mike.
The big thing with the Dolphins is you just can't rely on Tua staying healthy.
Well, no, the big thing about the Dolphins, they can't play in cold weather. Move them up north and it's snow. Dolphins
then you add Tua getting hurt on top of that.
Yeah, well,
now, I think with Tua, if he stays healthy, then they can contend. But I just personally, this kind of little foreshadowing here, I just think the Bills are just. I think they're going to do some special things this year.
All right, AFC North: Bengals, Ravens, Browns, Steelers.
Man, I think this is the toughest division to call between the Bengals, Ravens, and Steelers. And even the Browns, not that I think they'll contend, but I think they'll be improved. This is one I'm going to pick from my heart, Jimmy, because I'm a Bengals fan. I love Joe Burrow. I know their defense is horrible, but I think if the Bengals stay healthy offensively and you have T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow on the field, I do think that their defense will be better. But I'm going to pick the Bengals, but I think that you could literally have 3 teams in the playoffs from this division. I could see the Steelers, Ravens, and Bengals all being.
Well, they all 3 might.
Last year, even as bad as the Bengals defense were, they were basically a play away from beating the Ravens both times they played them. And, so.
Joe Burrow was real healthy this year. He said it's the best he's felt in the starting game.
They've got to start out stronger than they have the last few years.
And they can't put their first game is against the Browns, which the Browns can heal a lot of. I mean, I used to be a big Browns fan. I'm going with the Ravens in this. I can't
disagree with you on that.
Yeah, AFC South: Colts, Texans, Jaguars, Titans.
I'm gonna do a little surprise one here. I'm gonna pick the Jaguars. I think that.
Boy, that is a surprise.
Yeah. Trevor Lawrence
got
hurt last year. They got a high draft pick. And Trevor Lawrence, just a couple years ago, if everybody remembers, they were in the playoffs and he got hurt with that concussion last year. And I think that they're going to heal up. And I could see the Jaguars being the surprise team this year.
I'm going to go with the Texans until somebody says till Stroud screws up. I'm going with the Texans. All right, AFC West: Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, Raiders.
I don't see how you can pick against the Chiefs until somebody dethrones them. I think the biggest team that could give challenges to them, and they play this week, is the Chargers.
I agree with that.
The Chargers could definitely, at some point the Chiefs are going to come off of their mountaintop, and this might be the year.
Well,
but until somebody does.
The Chiefs are without their star wide receiver, Rice. He's suspended for the first 6 games. But Travis Kelce got engaged to Taylor Swift. So
that means they got to win, right?
Yeah, I mean,
even beyond that, he lost about 20 pounds and really committed himself to get healthy. and he's very motivated.
He's got something to prove this year.
Now he's got to keep up with Taylor Swifty fans.
I had him on my fantasy football team last year, and
he was horrible last year.
Oh, on my fantasy football, the one time I didn't start him, he had a good game. But that's the way it works. All right. Super Bowl picks. Mike said I had to pick a Super Bowl.
Well, you got to pick who you think's going to be in it and who you think's going to be the champion, Jimmy.
No, I can pick who. I'm just going to pick who I think's going to be.
I'm not scared. I'm going to pick both, and I'm going to pick who I think's going to be the Super Bowl champion. If you're going to pick who's going to be in it, you might as well just pick who you think's going to win.
All right, Mike, who you picking?
I'm going to pick coming out of the AFC. I just think this year is the Bills' year. I think that they've been on the cusp the last few years. I think, talking about the Chiefs and, when their dynasty is going to end, the Bills have been right there. You think about it over the last few years, the Bills have been that close to being the Chiefs instead of the Chiefs. And I think this year Josh Allen gets over the hump. I think that they go to the Super Bowl, and I think that they win it this year.
All right, what about out of the NFC?
Out of the NFC, I'm going to pick a surprise team. I'm going to pick the Packers.
I don't think that's a surprise team. You keep saying that.
I don't think anybody else will pick them.
They got that rookie wide receiver, which is the first time never under Aaron Rodgers did they pick a wide receiver in the first round of the draft, but they picked that Golden kid.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a bad pick. I don't think that's crazy.
So Bills and Packers, and I'm picking the Bills to be the Super Bowl. I think the Bills fans, the Bills Mafia, finally gets their world championship because they've been craving for it for years.
The AFC, I'm going with the Ravens. I think there's Lamar Jackson. I think there's something going on with him this year, and I think he's going to make it to the Super Bowl this year. And then out of the NFC, I'm going with the Lions. I think the Lions, they want to get there so bad for their fans because Detroit has never been to the Super Bowl, and they're one of the oldest franchises in the America.
Well, I think until, 2 years ago or last year, whatever, they hadn't even been to the AFC or the NFC Championship game. And, now, before the Super Bowl was established, they had won some NFL championships back in the 50s or 40s or whatever it was, but.
Yeah, and then as far as the team that I think is going to win, I think the Ravens are going to win.
Speaking of that, Jimmy, do you know the handful of teams that have never been to a Super Bowl? Can you name them?
I know it was the Cleveland Browns is one of them. They're one of the oldest.
The Lions
have never been to one. The Texans have never been to one.
There's one more.
Isn't there two more?
I think there's just one more.
Well, it's not the Panthers because they went there with Cam Newton.
Yep.
It's got to be the Jaguars.
It was the Jags. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Those teams have not been to a Super Bowl.
No, Mike, I didn't know.
You do now.
All right. And like I said, the Ravens are going to win. Now we got some week one marquees. Cowboys and Eagles. I'm taking the Cowboys.
Well, you take the Cowboys all you want. I'm taking the Eagles.
No, let's leave that one alone. Chiefs at the Chargers. That it says at the Chargers, folks. If you read it, it's not at the Chargers. They're playing in Brazil, in San Paulo. They will be on YouTube. Are we the pregame show?
I think we are.
Well, that's cool.
That's everybody's tuning in for the pregame show.
Hi, Taylor.
Anyway, who are you picking in that, Jimmy?
Well, this is a tough one. Do you know Jim Harbaugh has never lost his first game opening season in the NFL? That's 5 games.
I didn't know that.
He's 5-0 in first games. But
you said the same thing about Brian Kelly and LSU last week, and that was the one big pick you made last week. You said he's not going to lose that many in a row.
He had lost that many. That was different. He had lost, but Harbaugh has never lost his first game. But Travis Kelce and Mahomes, I heard them talking and everything. They're joking. They're cool as a cucumber. Taylor Swift is going to be there. I'm going with the Chiefs.
I think that you have to pick the Chiefs, like I said, until somebody knocks them off of their mountaintop. But it wouldn't surprise me if the Chargers win that game.
Well, okay, yeah.
This first game of the year.
Steelers at Jets.
I think that the Jets win this game. And I think Justin Fields will have something to prove. That's the big thing about this game. Not necessarily that it, you compare it like in terms of last year's teams that weren't that good, but they swapped quarterbacks.
Yeah, I know.
And Aaron Rodgers is at the Steelers now, and then Justin Fields, who was at the Steelers last year. I think you've got the younger legs. Aaron Rodgers is a nutball in my opinion. So I see the Jets winning this game, and it's playing at the Jets.
I'm going with the Steelers.
I was just in New York, Jimmy, so I'm picking the Jets.
I'm going with the Steelers. I think until the Jets prove they can win, which it's taken them a pretty good while to prove that.
Well,
but I'm going with the Jets. 49ers at Seahawks. Now, Sam Darnold is quarterback for the Seahawks now. He was quarterback for Minnesota. He did good during the regular season, but in the playoffs, boy, he choked. So, Mike, who you got on this game? I'm going to go with the 49ers.
I'm going to pick the 49ers, too, even though they're playing at the Seahawks.
They're healthy.
They're healthy, and Christian McCaffrey is healthy.
Yeah.
And that's his always. I picked him in my fantasy league last night, and I'm kind of crossing my fingers because every year he's great until he gets hurt.
And the Ravens,
once he gets hurt, he's like gone forever.
Ravens at the Bills.
Ooh. Well, I picked the Bills to win the whole thing, so I think the Bills are going to win this.
I picked the Ravens. I think I'll go with the Ravens.
Yeah, you did pick the Ravens, but they're playing at Bills Mafia Stadium.
Ravens gave them a great game at the stadium last year. They lost by 3, and that was because
although the Ravens did go into KC last year, the first game of the year, and then they beat.
It'll be a good game.
They beat the Chiefs.
To me, this is the marquee.
Remember that
game.
catch, and his toe was barely in.
That was against Kansas City.
That's what I'm saying. That was the Ravens against the Chiefs.
But they're playing the Bills. All right, keep up with me, Mike.
I know, but I'm just saying it was the first game.
And then our game. We didn't pick all the games, guys, but Vikings.
These are marquee games.
Vikings at Bears.
That's the Monday night game. I'm going with the Bears. I think the Bears will take that. I think the Bears are going to be much improved, and I think Caleb Williams will have a good second year, and I think the Bears win that. Vikings have a lot of question marks, like you said. They got
a rookie quarterback. And I like the Bears too. I think Caleb, and they got Ben Johnson from Detroit, who was their offensive coordinator. I think Caleb, I think he's going to do good. I think they're playing at Chicago, so I'm going to go with that. Hey, folks, I got one gripe.
Oh, hey, it's Jimmy's gripe of the week.
I don't know who the voters are that vote people into the Hall of Fame or keep them out of the Hall of Fame. But folks, I got to ask you one question. That those of you that vote for the Hall of Fame votes, why is Marty Schottenheimer not in the Football Hall of Fame? Now, here's a guy that is 8th all time in wins with 200 wins. He coached 21 seasons in the NFL. He coached the Cleveland Browns and had a winning record. Not too many coaches can say that, not even Bill Belichick, I don't think.
No.
He almost made it to the Super Bowl, but he got beat by this young kid named, you might know his name, John Elway.
Well, you think about that. Ernest Biner doesn't fumble that ball. They go to the Super Bowl.
They go to the Super Bowl.
So,
He also coached at the Redskins when Snyder, it was the Redskins. That's why I didn't say Commanders. When Snyder owned it, he went 8-8 in his first season. Snyder fired him. Why? I don't know. That's what Snyder. He also went to the Kansas City Chiefs and coached there. He had Joe Montana. If Young, 49ers told him that Young was going to start, Joe Montana went to the Kansas City Chiefs. A lot of people don't remember that.
I got actually, speaking of that, I got to go to it was an epic game. My good friend Schmitty had season tickets to the Chiefs. And this was the first, I got to go to 2 games in Arrowhead. And the first one I got to go to was Joe Montana was playing for the Chiefs. And you know who they played against?
49ers.
The 49ers.
Yeah.
And they blew them out. I saw that day, Jimmy, I saw Hall of Famers galore. I saw Jerry Rice.
You saw Hall of Famers?
Joe Montana, Steve Young, Marcus Allen, Derek Thomas. I mean, I saw just Hall of Famers all over the field.
Except for Marty Schottenheimer. That's
exactly.
my gripe.
But I agree with you. He should be in the Hall of Fame.
And then Marty Schottenheimer, after that, he went to the Chargers, and he had a very successful tenure there. Now, Marty died of Alzheimer's, and his son is Brian Schottenheimer, who is coaching the Cowboys. Marty Schottenheimer's coaching tree, assistants under him that went on, 13 of his assistant coaches went on to become NFL coaches. He had some of his coaches won Super Bowls. I think some of you know Tony Dungy, Colts, Mike McCarthy, Packers, Herm Edwards. He didn't win a Super Bowl, but Herm Edwards was one of them. Wade Phillips was one of his coaching trees. Anyway, the man deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. If you're a voter, put him in. Put him in now. And I gotta go, Mike.
Oh wow, Jimmy's got to pee. You know what that means? It's the end of the show. The two Micks. We will see you next week. We hope you had a great time watching us. And next week we'll talk a little bit more about the first week of the NFL season and the second week of college football. Thanks for joining in. Peace out. We'll see you next week on the two Micks.